First-time champions in Jey Uso and Dominic Mysterio, the returns of Joe Hendry and Becky Lynch, and of course number 17 as once again the champ is here. We're talking all things WrestleMania 41. Drop the beat.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling, and I'm a wrestling content creator from Long Island, New York. Thanks so much for checking out this video. And before I even get started, because I'm going to get into all of it, right? I'm going to give my thoughts on WrestleMania as a whole, as a weekend. I'm going to go through both shows here, all the headlines from WrestleMania. I'll give my thoughts on everything. Excited to break it all down with each and every one of you. But before I do, I would be remiss if I did not give a big shout out to everyone who enjoyed my tour videos, my vlog videos of my trip to Las Vegas as a part of WrestleMania 41 weekend. No, I did not attend WrestleMania 41 live, but I was there in Las Vegas on Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday, and came back very early Saturday morning. Just as simple as the fact that it was Easter, I got little kids at home, had to celebrate with them, and bad conflict. Hopefully WWE doesn't do that ever again. But really, thank you so much to everyone who did subscribe to the channel. That's overwhelming. That's super cool. I appreciate it. And a lot more WrestleMania stuff coming your way. Not going to get into kind of my ins and outs of my trip until I get to my WrestleMania 41 experience video. Hopefully that'll be out later this week. Looking at probably Friday for that. Go through the ins and outs of the trip, how it all came together, what I enjoyed about the trip, maybe what I'd have done differently. Is this the end of me attending live WrestleManias, right? We've had 2 years now where I've gone to the city for Mania. I've enjoyed some of the sights and the sounds of the WWE World, the WrestleMania Superstore, and then I haven't gone to the show. Instead, I've opted to go to, your SummerSlams, your Royal Rumbles. Is that going to be the future? We'll get into all that this coming week here at my WrestleMania experience video. Tomorrow, I'll also be back with my WrestleMania merch video, breaking down everything that I got over the weekend, because we've got some really cool things, and I'm excited to talk through some of those with each and every one of you. But without further ado, let's jump into WrestleMania 41. For me, this show was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the weekend in total, in whole. I thought the weekend was a lot of fun. I thought it was enjoyable to be there. Inconvenient again, as can possibly be, being dead smack on Easter Sunday, and kind of around all of that. And I did feel that some of the content, right? I thought that it would have been really nice to have the Hall of Fame on Thursday night. I really do. Would have been nice to have that. Would have been nice to have NXT. I think the Hall of Fame, a lot of people have complained about how long the Hall of Fame is. The Hall of Fame was a little over 3 hours. This is not a particularly long show. Triple H deserves an hour for his speech, right? You got an hour and 7 minutes. Ric Flair went on for about an hour and a half. Like, if you're an all-time great, you should be able to go as long as you possibly can. The reason why I think a lot of people complained is because it started 1 a.m. Eastern. 1 a.m. Eastern. The show didn't get off the air until almost 4:30 in the morning. You can't have that. And I understand. And I think it's great they put it back at its own venue. That absolutely was needed. It should not have been tied to SmackDown and that same venue and in the ring. I thought the presentation was strange last couple of years. So I'm glad it's in its own venue. I'm glad it's in kind of a music hall like it looked like in the Fontainebleau Hotel. But that being said, you can't start it so late. That's why people were complaining. That's why they're saying people falling asleep. Who could blame them? A lot of those wrestlers, I don't think it's any disrespect to Triple H. I'm sure they were thrilled for him. But a lot of those wrestlers were out and about until probably all day doing media, doing all meet and greets, autographs, WWE World, probably from like 9 a.m. onward. And yeah, I'm sure they were pretty pooped at 10 p.m., 1 a.m. Eastern when that's all Hall of Fame started. So, yeah, let's cut everyone a little bit of slack on that. That certainly does need to change. I haven't even been able to finish all of the Hall of Fame yet. I watched as much as I could. I still have Hunter's speech left, and I wanted to really kind of take all of that in because he's one of my favorites of all time. So, looking forward to that. NXT, I haven't heard a thing about. I don't know if Stand and Deliver even happened. Like, usually Stand and Deliver happens. You hear people talking about it. It is in a death spot on the Saturday afternoon before night one of WrestleMania. Right after the Hall of Fame. Right after SmackDown. You've had a whole day on Friday. Now you want to squeeze in a little NXT on Saturday. It's just a disservice to everyone who competes at NXT. And they need to figure that there's something different there. Thursday night is right there for the taking. Everyone who's coming into town most of the time is there on Thursday night. And would probably go out of their way to be there on Thursday night if they knew they had a Hall of Fame or if they knew they had a NXT. I'd even be okay with NXT following SmackDown because that's like, it's a show for the dogs. It's a show for the folks who want to get down and maybe are a little more gritty. But there is no reason why this show needed to be on Saturday afternoon. I hope to be able to watch it. I haven't heard anything about it. I really haven't. Not one single thing. And I'm sure the show was awesome. So hopefully be able to go back and watch that and really kind of take that in and enjoy it. And then hopefully moving forward, we got to get out of this Saturday afternoon time slot. It's too much. I understand it's rough with SmackDown being on Friday nights. It used to be very easy, right? You'd have NXT on Saturday, I guess NXT on Friday. So you could do NXT Thursday, you could do Hall of Fame Friday, and then into the weekend WrestleMania. SmackDown being there, I recognize throws some things off. But at the end of the day, they've got to come up with something different because it's not fair to everyone there. But I did feel that WrestleMania both nights, I thought it was fun. Overall, I thought that as a show, night 2 was certainly the better show. I think start to finish, there was a lot of it going into night 2 that I think provided a great deal of excitement. I think there was certainly some uncertainty over Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Cody, obviously the man to finish the story here and go after Roman Reigns and his 4-year reign as the champion of WWE. And now a year later, would he lose the title to John Cena, coming back and now as a heel in his final year and going for the unprecedented 17th championship to break the record of Ric Flair? So I think that was a lot of intrigue. Obviously, you had Randy Orton open challenge, who was going to answer that. You also had this deal where Bayley was taken out of her tag team title match and who was going to replace her. So there was a lot of intrigue going into that show. And I also just think every match on that show was a banger. Like going into it, you knew the women were going to bring it. Bianca, Rhea, and Io going to be awesome. You certainly knew AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Whether you love Logan Paul or hate him, he usually delivers in the ring. You knew that was going to be a good match. You also knew going in that the Fatal 4-Way was going to bring it. A Drew and Damian Priest underrated match. You knew that was going to be good. So there's a lot going into night 2, and I think night 2 knocked it out of the park. Night 1, I do think there's a couple things. The final 2 matches of night 1 were great. The presentation for Tiffany and Charlotte felt really big time. Loved the Barbie entrance for Tiffany. Certainly thought Charlotte looked like $1 million, and it was really kind of a nice, good battle between the two of them. You could tell there's a lot of heat between them. Personally, I do think that promo where they cut deep in on each other and maybe went off script a bit, certainly I think added to a lot of the excitement and build up for that match. Main event of night 1, I feel like, honestly, was the match of the weekend. The triple threat between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. Going into this match, I felt that you didn't need it. I didn't think you needed 3 guys in there. I thought, honestly, you could have obviously had Roman in there in his own match and then kind of just had it be Seth and CM Punk. But once that match started, it was incredible. I think that all 3 guys really delivered. And a credit to Paul Heyman. I guess we'll start there. Well, let's start with this match, the main event of night 1. Then I'll get to the main event of night 2. A credit to Paul Heyman. The idea that Paul Heyman is still such a character that has so much intrigue and so much interest that they built an entire WrestleMania main event with 3 of the biggest stars in the company all around where Paul Heyman would end up. Obviously, he was going to be leading CM Punk down in the ring. Obviously, he's been with Roman the last few years. Would he go back with Roman? What's this favor that maybe he owes Seth? But before we even get there, I thought great match. CM Punk comes out, really nice entrance, kind of looking back at his time in WWE. Great to hear This Fire Burns, Killswitch Engage, one of my favorites at the time. Certainly when that song dropped for CM Punk. So that was really cool to see him get that whole video package, building up his first WrestleMania main event as being a big deal, because it was. You think about it with CM Punk, it's amazing he never got that WrestleMania main event, and it's eluded him for so long. Probably one of the reasons that led to him leaving, and then he finally comes back and gets injured. So for him to finally get a WrestleMania main event, the video package and everything, the presentation for him, I thought was top-notch, well-deserved, really cool. And I thought the moment of this was Punk coming out and Heyman giving him the watch for him to look at the watch and kind of like old times, yell out the big "it's clobbering time" and away we go. But after he gives Punk the watch, Paul Heyman gave Punk a kiss on the head. And at that moment, it felt like Phil Brooks and Paul Heyman. It felt like 2 normal guys, best friends, and it felt like a moment where Paul Heyman was saying, hey, I'm really happy you're back, and I'm really happy we get this moment together. I thought it was incredible. Really great stuff. And the match itself, so many near falls. So all 3 of them were great. I think this has to be up there with one of the great triple threat matches in WWE history. I put up there with the main event of WrestleMania 20, the Vengeance 2002, Royal Rumble 2015. I'd say this match is right there with those 3. as one of the greatest triple threats ever. Everybody looked great, and at the end, Paul Heyman turns, it's funny, he turns on Punk, and it looked like, all right, we're going to get back to the tribal chief, and Roman's laying him out. And then he goes and he tells Roman, you know, hey, make sure you go get your revenge on Seth. And before he could, bang! Big uppercut there, low blow there to Roman Reigns. He hits him with a low blow, and Seth Rollins gets the win. Huge win for Seth Rollins. This felt, and who knows where it goes with Seth Rollins and with Paul Heyman moving forward. And a lot of people seem to think they were going to be involved with the Cena stuff and the Rock stuff, and maybe they would be at a later time. That doesn't seem like that's where they're at right now. But at the same time, I think the end of this show, and I know it sounds crazy to think, when you think of everything Rollins has done, I don't think he's ever come across as a bigger deal than he did at the end of WrestleMania 41, Night 1, aligning with Paul Heyman, looking like a total badass, and winning the match in a WrestleMania main event. Yes, I know we've ended WrestleMania with Rollins winning the title at WrestleMania 31, but he was added there with the Money in the Bank, and that moment was amazing. But I don't think anyone left that night saying, wow, Seth Rollins is the new face of the company. I left this night thinking this is going to be a big-time movement for Seth Rollins. Like, I am prepared and hopeful that we get Seth Rollins and Jey Uso as one of the main events at SummerSlam here at MetLife Stadium. So I think that was just great, really good stuff across the board. Yes, Roman Reigns, grill was looking good. But with that being said, I thought, again, great main event for Night 1. And I think that main event being so good took away from the fact, and I distracted from the fact, that the rest of Night 1 is kind of there. You had a great start there with Jey Uso winning the title. You had a good match, I thought, with Charlotte and with Tiffany Stratton, kind of coming up for Tiffany Stratton, and a good spotlight for her. But I thought overall Night 1 was a lot of matches that I don't know that you needed to have that WrestleMania spotlight. It just felt like something was off, and it felt like you had too many of these mid-card type matches in the middle of the show. Some of which I liked, and I'll get to those in a bit. But for me, the main event was so good that when people go back and think about WrestleMania 41, they're going to think about this triple threat. They're not going to say, maybe those Raw tag titles didn't belong on WrestleMania. They're going to say, this was a great match, and it's one that we will remember forever because of the incredible main event. And you know what? Night 1 of WrestleMania 41 was great. Whether or not it was, I don't think so. But I do think the main event, outstanding. Match of the weekend, in all honesty, from an in-ring perspective. So let's get to Night 2, main event. John Cena wins the title, number 17, against Cody Rhodes. And I was, so I will say this. First and foremost, no, The Rock was not there. Was that disappointing? Yes. The Rock should have been a big part of WrestleMania 41. It was set up at the end of, it was the beginning of Raw, the night after WrestleMania 40. It was set up to make you think that, hey, at some point, he's going to be back in the mix, and we're going to get some closure, whether it be with him and Cody, whether it be with him and Roman. Obviously, main event of Bad Blood, he shows up, throws up his threes, and gives you the old, and you think, all right, great, well, away we go, full steam ahead, and then you don't see The Rock again, and it starts to look like he's not going to be involved at all until he plays such a pivotal role at Elimination Chamber, offering Cody to be his champion, offering eventually having John Cena turn heel and join him along with Travis Scott in the mix. And it would have been great to have The Rock involved yesterday. And I think recently we've become accustomed to when somebody comes out for interference, somebody bigger is coming. We've had this happen last year's WrestleMania, where obviously Jey Uso came out, then John Cena, then The Undertaker. We had it at SummerSlam with Kevin Owens coming out, then Randy Orton coming out, then Roman Reigns returning. So when Travis Scott comes out yesterday and he takes his time to get to the ring, I think everybody, including myself, thought, all right, well, this is going to lead to eventually The Rock getting in the mix. Cody should get past Travis Scott, and then here comes The Rock. It never happened. Rock was not involved, and where I think it's interesting about why he wasn't involved, I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, if The Rock comes back as The Rock, if he comes back as the final boss, people love The Rock. And I think there is a very big goal. The number one goal, I think, of WWE right now this year is to make John Cena as hated as he can possibly be. Obviously, you had a lot of people cheering for him yesterday. Makes sense, right? He's going to win number 17. He deserves some adulation. Won 16 back in 2017. So 8 years later, he finally gets 17. He gets this elusive record he's been chasing for so long. And so it makes sense for some fans to be really happy about that. Ever since John Cena turned heel, he's not giving the fans anything they want, right? We all thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he came out to that Bad Man song? Wouldn't it be cool if maybe changed up his gear? No, because he wants to be hated. They want you to hate John Cena. They want you to see him as a heel. He is still coming out to the same music. Yes, he does have a new shirt for every city he's going to, but at the same time, he is coming out, not showing any emotion, walking to the ring like he's over in One Night Stand 2006, holding the towel over his head, and just coming to the ring. Yesterday, 0 Titantron video, 0 big entrance. Instead, it just said John Cena, and out he came. There was no special deal. There was nothing there for John Cena and really bringing anything to light for him moving forward as a top attraction. Instead, it was John Cena's here. He's all business. He doesn't want any of your support, and away we go. So I think the thinking might have been, bring in Travis Scott. People don't like him. Some people do, right? I think people in real life like him fine. I think he's very popular. Anytime he does a collaboration, it blows up. And clearly he's a huge influencer, very successful artist. And I think having him come out, though, in the wrestling space, people don't like him. People think why is he involved in such a big storyline? So having him come out and play such a pivotal role here for Cena, it did detract a little away from your want to cheer John Cena on. And at the end of the day, I think that certainly played a part here. And I think that was certainly something that is what their goal is. I think that's one of the reasons The Rock was not there. Maybe The Rock was just busy too. But at the end of the day, I think we have a little sour that The Rock wasn't involved here. But I do think it's all within a strategy of, if you want John Cena to be booed, you want him to be hated, having The Rock come out is always going to get some cheers. And so that's not going to get to where they want to go. So Cody Rhodes loses the title, the end of his reign. I thought he's done great as the face of WWE. I don't think this is the end for him. I do expect that at some point he gets this title back. But it was very interesting to see. It really was. It was, Cena and, getting the title here and the end of Cody's run after it had taken him so long to finish the story. I wasn't sure they'd go the direction they did, honestly. I was there in the building, WrestleMania 39, when Roman Reigns retained. And part of me thought Cody's going to retain here. A couple times I thought Kevin Owens was going to beat him. Didn't happen. Cody retained. Certainly thought Solo Sikoa was going to beat him back at SummerSlam 2023. Didn't happen. Cody retained. So I thought Cody was going to lose the title. I was going to keep his championship intact, but not to be. And I'll tell you this much. I'm very excited to see where they go with this with Cena. I think Raw is certainly must-see tonight. It feels very big time, and I can't complain. I thought it was, again, thought the match was okay. I don't think the match was certainly one of either of their greatest matches of all time. But I do like the story twist at the end there, where Cena's trying to tell him, please don't hit me with the belt. Don't do it. You don't need it. Don't do it. And then Cody has just a second of doubt, and then bang, a low blow there from Cena to Cody again. Cena grabs the title, lays out Cody, gets the win, showing Cody he would go the place that Cody didn't want to go to. So I thought that was really cool. From there, let's hit on some of the other highlights. Let's talk about the two, returns or surprise entrants. First of which, Joe Hendry. I had no problem with this till I heard that Jeff Hardy was in the running for this surprise. I think that music hits, no more words hit. Out came Jeff Hardy to fight Randy Orton. Would have been awesome. Would have been incredible. That being said, I'm glad that they didn't. Randy Orton needs to look strong right now. Very clearly, Randy Orton is going to be in a major match at the next pay-per-view. He's the entire focus of that entire pay-per-view. Backlash in St. Louis, his hometown. I really would be surprised if it's not Randy Orton versus John Cena at Backlash for the title. I think that's the direction they're going to go, and you need to keep Orton strong. And Orton's on fire right now. He gets some of the biggest reactions as a babyface that I think he's ever had. People are just so into him. They're singing the music. They're all about him. And so you knew he wasn't going to lose. So with that being said, you didn't want to go and bring in, I know people were saying Rusev. If Rusev's on his way back, you don't want him to come out and lose immediately to Randy Orton. That doesn't make Rusev look good. So I had no problem with the fact that you brought out Joe Hendry. Obviously a huge pop, huge moment for him. What a spotlight. Great moment for TNA to have their champion be introduced as the TNA World Champion, showing up at WrestleMania for a match with Joe Hendry and Randy Orton. It was short and sweet. You knew Orton would win. You knew Orton would look for an emphatic win. And I thought it was harmless. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Thought it would have been cool if you're going to do it to have Nick Aldis just come out there and get his WrestleMania moment. But Joe Hendry's over. Whether you love him or you hate him, Joe Hendry is super over, and I think the crowd yesterday, you figure this guy has only been on WWE TV in terms of the main roster once at the Royal Rumble. And other than that, has made such a name for himself that when he showed up at WrestleMania yesterday, he got a monster pop. So that was I thought it was great, very cool, and, a lot of people believe in Joe Hendry. Let's talk about Becky Lynch. For me, it's great to have Becky Lynch back. Becky Lynch, one of my favorites. Happy to have her back. It's weird from a standpoint of everything you heard was that Becky Lynch was supposed to be back the first Raw after on Netflix, and they decided to hold off because they got Undertaker to come out and have that moment with Rhea Ripley, and they didn't think they needed Becky Lynch. It's weird that at this moment, you have Becky return here as the tag champion with Lyra Valkyria, because in all honesty, I just think it would have been fine to have Becky make the big surprise return and help Lyra and Bayley win. I don't think you needed to take Bayley out of the match. I think it would have been as impactful to have Becky show up in the middle of that match, get the big pop, take over for Bayley, and have it be a situation where she just comes in the ring to kind of give them the rub. I think taking Bayley out of the match left a bad taste in certainly a lot of folks' mouths, and rightfully so. Bayley's been a huge part of the story for a year, had this incredible moment at the Rumble last year, parlaying that into a big win at WrestleMania and a great match with Io Sky. So at the end of the day, I think that it stinks of what happened with Bayley, to be perfectly honest. But I am happy to have Becky Lynch back. For a while, was starting to look like maybe Becky would never be back. So Becky Lynch back, never a bad thing. And who knows, maybe this could lead to a really fun feud here between Bayley and Becky Lynch. And maybe it'll be even revealed that Becky's the one who laid out Bayley. So I'm intrigued to see where they go from here. So let's go quick fire here on the rest of the WrestleMania card over these last couple of days. First and foremost, I said the triple threat at the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania was my favorite match of the evening. Night 2, the opening match, was right behind it, and it may have even been my favorite. It's neck and neck. It was so good. Of course, I'm talking about Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. And I did say from the start, I'm not a fan of triple threat matches. I don't think they make any sense. I think that a one-on-one match always feels like a much bigger deal than a triple threat match. But clearly, I've been proven wrong this weekend because both triple threat matches were my favorite. Both triple threat matches were incredible. And I will say, I do think down the road, a big match there is Rhea Ripley against Bianca Belair one-on-one. But at least WWE added Io Sky into the main event mix because they're going with Io Sky. Io Sky is is their champion. And the idea here was not to add Io Sky as a third party or a way for Bianca to get the win and keep the WrestleMania undefeated streak intact while then being able to protect Rhea, which is what I think a lot of people thought. Instead, Io Sky went in, Io Sky got the win. And I thought, okay, that's cool. I have no problem with that. I was glad to see that she wasn't just window dressing. She was the focal point of this match and was able to prove herself. One thing I don't like and I don't understand the hate for Bianca Belair. I like Bianca quite a bit. I would have liked the streak to continue, and I don't understand it. I think it's really lame, and it just makes absolutely no sense why everyone's booing her, unless they think she's somehow tied to the Jade Cargill stuff. But I did think that was like the only thing I didn't like about it. One of the biggest stories coming out of WrestleMania, of course, Jey Uso is the World Heavyweight Champion. Defeated Gunther last night. No choice. Had to go with Jey. Couldn't have Gunther beat him for a 4th time. That would have I don't think he would have ever recovered from that. So they're going all the way. Jey Uso, your world champion. Obviously red hot with a certain select part of the audience. Certainly the kids love him. Certainly, I think a good part of that audience. I'm a fan. You saw me and if you watch my vlogs, I did the whole Jey Uso entrance deal. That being said, I do know that your historians probably don't like him as much, and I do think part of this that's tough is similar to Damian Priest at SummerSlam. Damian Priest at SummerSlam reached his peak as champion right at the moment where it looked like he was going to start to really be taken serious as a top guy at SummerSlam, and then he lost the title. And I think Gunther has had a hell of a run. Gunther has been wrestling against everyone up and down the card. Had a great match with Tozawa, had a great match with Otis, has had matches right and left with all these people. Came across like a total evil sumbitch when he lays out Jimmy Uso and cut him up in front of Jey. I mean, he had really reached such a high level as champion. You could have kept him as the champion and moved forward, but you have to see what you have in Jey here. I have no problem with it. Thought the match itself was pretty good. I thought it's not as good as Gunther's last couple matches at Mania. I don't think necessarily that's Jey's fault. I just think that the match wasn't as good as his last two, because his last two were two of the greatest, right? They were great matches. So it'll be interesting to see Jay as champion, though. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it. And interested to see where they go with Jey Uso now, not as kind of a larger-than-life character in the middle of the show, but as the guy. It'd be cool to see. So I'm sure more to come there for him. And he's one of the big parts of this entire WrestleMania build. Love him or hate him, a lot of this WrestleMania build was around Jey Uso. You think about a lot of the main eventers weren't a part of the show. Weren't on there every week. Jey was. So, gotta give him credit for maintaining his level of popularity. I was down in Las Vegas. Everyone was yeeting away. You couldn't go up and down the strip without people yeeting, without the yeet shirts, all over. He is just white-hot popular. So good for WWE to go all the way with him. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they should have went all the way with LA Knight in 2023. Yeah, they probably should have gone all the way with LA Knight in 2023. Sometimes if a character catches fire like that, see what you have if you go all the way. And I think that's what WWE is doing here with main event Jey Uso. Thought it was cool and interested to see where they go from there. Another first-time champion that got a ton of love and is, I think, going to get a huge reaction tonight on Raw, if he's on the show, which I assume he will, is Dirty Dominic Mysterio. He comes out, wins the match. Great fatal four-way. I'm telling you, last night's show was on fire. He had a great fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title. I think it went any which way with them. Penta getting really, really big with the Penta walk coming into the building to start the show. Everyone was obviously barking for Braun Breaker. And I think Finn is just so underrated. This guy goes in there. Everything he does is so crisp. And at the end, Dom gets the win. People went nuts for him. People went insane for him. And on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, I was watching a little bit of that while you had John Cena on, and the crowd was doing the, instead of doing the Roman Reigns, they were doing the Dirty Dom. I think people are going to be really excited for that. And I'm interested to see where this goes here with Dominic Mysterio as your Intercontinental Champion. But great stuff there. Also on the show, as I had mentioned yesterday, you did have Logan Paul defeating AJ Styles. Good match. Logan Paul, awesome entrance with the droid. And this is all about Karrion Kross and his continuing of the feud with AJ Styles. Obviously, after WrestleMania, I think Logan Paul probably goes away till SummerSlam. Maybe somewhere in between that for Money in the Bank. But I'm sure he's going to be gone for a bit. But it continues to be building up between Karrion Kross and AJ Styles. Karrion Kross showed up, tried to get AJ Styles to use the, I guess it was brass knucks or something, some sort of weapon to help him win the match. AJ refused, said he didn't need to, and then he loses. And Karrion Kross cut an absolute incredible promo. Go look it up on Twitter or X or wherever, on YouTube. Just so much fire. And if this guy could ever get the opportunity to have solid matches and real matches out there, I'd love to see what he could do, because I do think there's untapped potential there with Karrion Kross, and I'm excited to see the remainder of where they go next with him and AJ Styles. But really good stuff there from AJ and with Logan Paul. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, another great match. I mean, I'm telling you, last night's show was awesome. These guys had a banger, and I think these guys are guys that at any moment WWE could say, hey, you know what, Drew or Damian Priest, one of them we should make the champion again, and I think everyone would take it serious. Great, hard-hitting match. I thought this was actually going to be a cinematic match where they wrestled up and down the streets of Las Vegas, through the Strip, through the casinos, to maybe even see a Baron Corbin cameo. It was not to be. It was a solid, hard-hitting kind of street fight inside the ring. Very cool Slayer entrance for Damian Priest, who, again, came across like a top guy. I know people were saying Drew was unhappy with that match and getting that match. Thought he should have got something a little bigger. I didn't see that. I thought both these guys looked great. Drew with the awesome selfie and the "I'm still bored at work" tweet, kind of connecting to last year's "I'm bored at work" tweet. And again, looked like $1 million. So big win for Drew McIntyre. Boy, did he need it. Great to see a heel get a straight up win, but I don't think it hurt Priest either. Priest looked great in the process as well. Jade Cargill, big win for Jade Cargill over Naomi. I thought Naomi looked great. New entrance music for Naomi. Would have liked to see Naomi win, to be perfectly honest, but I understand Jade is kind of the future for them. They want to see what they have. And going into this match, because I don't think we've seen a lot of Jade Cargill in the ring, I was a little worried for it. I was. But they had a solid 10-minute match. Couldn't ask for anything more. I thought it was pretty good. One real disappointment on the show, and I don't think it's anyone's fault, I guess. El Gran Americano took on Rey Fenix. They had a great match. How could they not? Incredible, unique offense, innovators of offense, both of them are, and you can't complain. That being said, it sucks that Rey was taken out of that match. Rey Mysterio was taken out of that match. Great they had Phoenix to back him up and have a great, solid, 8-minute match. But I think there was a lot of fun going into having Rey Mysterio in there with El Gran Americano. You'll still be able to have Grande Americano do his thing and eventually lead up to Rey. But Rey's an older guy. Why would you put him in a match on SmackDown, risk getting injured right before WrestleMania? I know it was a 6-man tag, but just completely unnecessary. And I think that really sucks that he wasn't a part of that. They did also have the new tag team champions, the New Day. Glad to see them win the titles. New Day looked like $1 million coming into their new theme and really good gear. Right, War Raiders came out to some silly gear, but good to see them get a spot. I don't know. For me, I just felt that the SmackDown Tag Division has been on fire. They've built up that story there with the Street Profits, as well as with the Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly, DIY. They've been having great matches. They've been getting TV time every week. They had a match at the Rumble. I feel like they should have gotten the spot on WrestleMania. I know it's crazy to think you wouldn't put the New Day on WrestleMania, but for me, I think that should have been the spot. I think Street Profits have been awesome as tag team champs too, and I really have enjoyed what they've been doing. So it sucks that their TLC match was moved to next week on SmackDown. You got to have something to SmackDown after WrestleMania, and I get that, but I think it would have been interesting to see kind of where things went from there. So what can you do? Underrated match of the weekend, and I'm putting it as actually a top 4 for me. I'm going, Punk, Roman, Seth 1. I'm going Bianca against Rhea Ripley against Io Sky 2. Fatal 4 for the Intercontinental title 3. And this match for the U.S. title, LA Knight, against Jacob Fatu. I do not know how they hit that BFT. The moonsault from Fatu caught into the BFT. Unbelievable. This thing was work of art and such a solid match. LA Knight, because he's so good on the promos, because he's so great with his character and all that comes with that, I think people don't realize this guy's having great matches. I mean, he really is. Great match last year at Mania. Great match this year at Mania. Fatu, I think Big E said it best. He's undeniable. It was a little sad for me seeing my guy Solo Sikoa, who I'm a big fan of, coming out as the second to Jacob, and that was it for him for the whole WrestleMania weekend. Got to figure at some point this guy was probably penciled in to have that Ulafala match against Roman at Mania. They end up doing it on the Netflix Raw. And unfortunately, I feel like Solo's kind of been floundering since for a bit. And it sucks because I think he was a big part of the second half of the year for WWE. Obviously led WWE into SummerSlam against Cody. I still think he should have won the title at SummerSlam. They didn't go with that. But it sucks that they didn't have anything better for him at Mania. Would have been a cool deal to see him get a match or something, at some point. But which was not to be. Jacob Fatu, though, certainly deserving of the United States Championship. And overall, that really concludes my thoughts on WrestleMania. Thought it was a great show. I thought it was fun weekend. Was it an amazing all-timer WrestleMania? Probably not. But I think it's going to go down as a historical WrestleMania. I think Cena getting 17 is a big deal. I think people will always remember fondly both triple threat matches. Jey Uso, his first world title. I think it's going to go down as a really important show over time. Didn't mention that Stone Cold was on the show. He came out to announce the attendance, as did Shawn Michaels, so I'm pretty sure didn't sleep at all from Friday through his appearance on Saturday. If he did, maybe it was for an hour. But Stone Cold comes out. Great to see Austin. Absolute menace with his four-wheeler. He just smashes the four-wheeler directly into the barricade, damn near takes out a woman in the front row. But always good to see Stone Cold nonetheless. Hope that woman is okay. I think she's fine, but hopefully she's fine. In any event, those are my thoughts on WrestleMania. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Set looked amazing, right? We always talk about how we want stages and sets for all the different pay-per-views, and I'd love to see that. But I think a big part of what makes WrestleMania so special is that it really is the lone special set that they have. You were able to also do so many things with it. They were able to transform that entire set, which did have fans sitting up there, which looked very cool, into a Barbie dream house for Tiffany Stratton's entrance, which popped my daughter huge, made her so freaking happy, and it was awesome to see that. So great stage, fun entrances. Thought Cody's entrance was very well done. That was one of the better ones. Damian Priest, I mentioned that with the Slayer. I thought that Bianca Belair having her stepdaughter out there with her was very cool for her entrance. overall, this was just a fun weekend. Again, please don't ever put it head-to-head with Easter. That just made things so damn inconvenient. Would have been very easy for me to just stay in Las Vegas and enjoy the show. Couldn't do it because of Easter. So hopefully they never do that again. I'll be back with my WrestleMania experience at the end of this week. We'll have some fun stuff. We'll have an unboxing of all my merch I was able to pick up. And we'll talk through it here soon again here on Watch Along Wrestling. Thanks for the support. See y'all in the next video. Enjoy Raw after Mania. Let's talk about Raw after Mania tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm ready for it. I'm stoked. Night 3. It just keeps going. It just keeps churning. And we'll get there. The biggest night of the year. Most unpredictable night. It's Bizarro Land in Las Vegas tonight for WWE Monday Night Raw. I'm stoked. Let's get into it.